You're welcome from News from the States, where we bring you reports on key developments across Nigeria's 36 states. I am Adebanke Odunoi, and we begin from Katsina State, where the government's order to close all boarding schools has created a landscape of silent dormitories and locked gates. This is not a reaction to a specific intelligence alert, but a stark admission that the general threat of terrorism is now so pervasive that the state is unwilling to risk concentrating its children in potential targets, choosing instead to sacrifice schooling for safety. Abdulateef Yusuf reports.
This is the human reality behind the government's directive. The state government has ordered the closure of all boarding schools across Katsina. The decision is precise, preemptive, and underscores a persistent atmosphere of insecurity. There is no intelligence pointing into an imminent attack, but officials say the environment is simply too volatile to keep students in boarding facilities. The justification for this extreme caution edged into the state's recent history: the 2020 mass abduction of students from Government Science Secondary School, Kankara. The event remains a defining reference point, exposing the devastating vulnerability of such institutions.
So we just decided that for us to guide against any unwanted happening in the state, we should close down our schools. And mark you, not all schools are closed. Only boarding secondary schools are closed. But day secondary school and primary schools, they are not closed. They have been asked to continue with their examination.
This policy of caution presents a stark paradox. It runs alongside government's effort to broker peace and negotiate reconciliation with armed groups. Analysts say the continued need for such drastic measures reveals the limit of these negotiations. The peace, they argue, remains too fragile to guarantee the safety of children sleeping in their dormitories.
Closing schools by this time, it means that we didn't learn from the experience we had before. What should have happened is there should have been other kind of ad hoc arrangements long established because of that experience. That is in terms of maybe providing other alternatives, kind of support for these young people to continue their education.
For students like Amina, the closure means uncertain break from learning and the fear of being left behind.
With this emergence of new strategies in kidnapping, it can happen anywhere. So we just decided to close our boarding school so that we take adequate measures to ensure that these schools, even before this announcement was made, security measures are adopted at our secondary schools to ensure that they are secured.
I feel education virtually virtually everywhere in the north, I would say, because that is the area I know. It's going down the drain. There isn't much resources being expanded for education.
The lingering question is how long this precaution can last before the very education it seeks to protect becomes fundamentally harmed. For Amina and thousands like her, the promise of peace will only feel real when the chains on the school gates are finally removed. Certainly, the path to secure future depends on the state's ability to provide safe and uninterrupted education, a goal that for now remains just out of reach. Abdulateef Yusuf, TVC News, Katsina.
Abdulateef Yusuf joins me now. Now, from your reportive, Abdulateef, what convinced the state government to issue such a sweeping closure despite the absence of a specific intelligence alert?
Good afternoon. Certainly, the decision was preemptive, proactive, and tactical move to prevent eventualities. Since the pattern has been known to everyone, the government is aware it has already started in some states, and the government didn't want to take any chances to allow it to happen before taking action. That was the reason that prompted the decision. So it was a defensive measure to remove the targets from the schools so that there won't be students in the boarding facilities to prevent the attacks. You can understand that most of the boarding schools in Katsina, they are located in isolated areas. They are not within the cities. So it makes them very vulnerable to attacks, are prone to attacks. And this is what the government is trying to avoid because it happened in 2020 when over 300 students were taken away from a boarding school in Kankara. And is a memory that is still lingering in the minds of the people here. And the government didn't want to take chances to witness such kind of devastation again. So it was the wisest decision to allow the boarding students to come back home while the other students, like the day students, are still attending school. In fact, most of them are at the verge of either finishing or their terminal exams. So other schools, primary schools and day schools across the states are still operating.
Okay.
It is only the boarding schools that have been affected by the decision.
Okay, let's speak about security agencies. How are they responding to prevent further attacks on schools or communities in the states?
Yes, according to what the commissioner told us, he said that ever since the incident happened in other parts of the country, the state decided to make a very proactive decision by deploying a number of police officers around school areas. And that they have also increased checkpoints around school areas so that they will monitor what is going on around schools. The communities also are not, they are not left behind, and there have been joint operations where intelligence is being improved upon to always report any possible threat around schools so that actions will be taken immediately. So I believe the schools everything is in order for now.
TVC News correspondent Abdulatif Yusuf, thank you for joining me.